can take a gun, shoot somebody in the face. It's not hard. Sometimes it might even be fun if they're a godless commie.
Now, what they're trying to do is sneak the COVID vaccine in your salads.
I hate math. Somebody say amen.
How is it that a young man using a weapon for the first time, he'd only obtained these AR-15s about a week ago. Not enough time to train to become proficient in it. But we've seen this repeatedly in a number of mass shooting events. Nicholas Cruz, Cho Seung-hui. How is it possible that these young men are so accurate with their fire? So how is it these young men were so accurate? It doesn't make any sense. Conspiracy theorists will say it's because they were trained. This was a black op. This was a false flag. No, I think the instructor in that course was correct. The children, the teachers, law enforcement in Uvalde, Texas, encountered a demon Tuesday. One who's done this before.
Yeah, demons, really. And also, it's not like we're doing some kind of crazy equations or putting together some kind of nuclear weapon. It's a gun, there's a trigger to it. It's not rocket science, and that's also part of the problem. Not just because they're accessible, but they seem pretty easy to operate. I'd also like to think there are probably a few YouTube tutorials on it. Let's not pretend that we need some kind of creature or spirit or demon to come down to instruct this young man on how to use a firearm. Jackson.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, let's point out the fact that the latest shooting in Uvalde, he was in a classroom, so he was in very close quarters. So his whole argument was stupid on that front. And then also, for him to say, he mentions conspiracy theorists will talk about they're trained in some type of plot. So then he floats to an even crazier conspiracy. No, it's just demons. Which again, what are we even gonna do about that? If they were being trained in some type of conspiracy, at least we can do something about that. But if we're talking about the supernatural, we've been given thoughts and prayers for years and years, and they don't seem to be doing anything. So it was just really a completely useless take. However, one that is believed by many people in this country who vote regularly.
Yes, and they also vote red. But there's so many useless takes out there in terms of what is the cause behind the mass shooting. But it's so interesting because none of these takes really seem to factor in firearms? Watch this.
This is not something new. We've had this problem for a long time. In fact, the Boston Massacre during the Revolutionary War period was a mass shooting. So this is not an unusual thing.
And if she had a gun in her purse and they were shooting up Walmart and she was there and she had the gun, she could stop that guy.
You want to talk about how we could have prevented the horror that played out across the street? Look, the killer entered here the same way the killer entered in Santa Fe. Through a back door, an unlocked back door.
They've built their entire lives around their social media platforms and how can I be famous? And they don't care how you become famous over social media. If it's the slaughter of other human beings or if it's shaking your rear end nakedly on an OnlyFans account.
Kids are exposed to all kinds of horrible stuff nowadays too. I look back and I think about the horrible stuff that they hear when they listen to rap music, the video games that they watch from a really early age with all of this horrible violence and stuff.
And lockdowns dramatically increase the incidence of mental illness among young people. And in 10 days, we've seen 2 mass shootings by mentally ill young people. Could there be a connection? Now, that's not finger pointing. It's not to blame Fauci for yesterday's shooting. We're not that low. We're not Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, I would definitely argue that they are far lower. They are definitely in demon territory. Because the fact is that firearms are the reason we're having these mass shootings, access to them, as well as, hey, we have a society that is indoctrinating a lot of young white men in this thought that the things to which they think they're entitled to are being withheld from them, and thus they are acting out. We have to address white supremacy, and we have to address this gun violence situation before we're ever going to get out ahead of that. Until then, we're going to continue to bury the bodies of children who deserved a chance at life. Jackson.
Well, for them to, blame social media and the media en masse, in the first place, it's like, okay, well, then that suggests that the solution is to ban people from social media. But at the end of the day, there's so much content. Oh, and like he said, shaking their butts nakedly, like he doesn't spend a lot of time looking at that. But outside of that, it's just, there's a lot of other content that comes through social media. People learn how to cook on social media. People learn how to do business and conduct trades of all kinds. So that argument in and of itself is ridiculous and also goes against their inherent belief of, small government. So it's just everything but the guns, everything but the guns. That's all it ever is.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Everything but the guns. I wonder at what point will lawmakers actually wake up and decide to be leaders in our country, because it's not happening anytime soon. And all of us in law definitely know that the Second Amendment has been distorted and manipulated and lied to fit the narrative that allows the NRA to continue to fund our legislature. But at the same time, when are we going to actually step in and do something? Because our future is hinging on our ability to do something about the access to guns, these firearms, these war weaponry that people have in their homes for no damn good reason. It gets old, but hopefully someday there will be a new day and things will change.